Hello and welcome to the Claret and Blue podcast, ex-Forest Focus. We're back again with Matt Davies, who's got a big smile on his face, which I really don't like. Since we last spoke, Forest have beaten Villa 1-0 in the first leg of the Europa League semi-final. They've then changed their team and beat Chelsea away on Monday after Villa changed their team and bottled it big time against Tottenham. How are you, Matt?
Well, I'm wonderful because of yesterday and securing Premier League status, hopefully. I'm even better because after last week's work reunion for Reach, it's extended to a Shropshire Star reunion. As Mat Kendrick refers, I did work experience when I was a teenager, and I'm clearly not now, when he was covering Shrewsbury Town. So this is a joyous occasion for me. Thank you very much.
Tell him, Matt, I did used to have hair, didn't I? Not much, but I did used to have a little bit of hair, didn't I?
It was fighting a losing battle when you did, but yeah.
Get him gone.
I can relate, to be honest. I can relate. I'll be there soon myself, I'm sure. Okay, there's no structure for this show necessarily. We'll touch on the first leg, of course. I'm sure Matt Davies, you'll want to talk about Spurs a little bit. We will want to talk about Chelsea, I think, as well. It's a big kind of rallying cry ahead of the second leg from a Villa perspective. We've got to be behind them. We've got to kind of forget Spurs, which I'm now starting to do a little bit. We've done 2 or 3 podcasts about it. It's still very annoying, but you win Thursday, it's all forgiven. We've got to go into that game with immense positivity, greeting the coach, flares, everything. You've got to give it full beans, right? Start with you, Kendrick. You weren't, I don't say you weren't angry after Tottenham, but you weren't as angry as me, at least anyway. How have you now switched your attention to Thursday?
I've got angrier now. I was fine, but now you've all whipped me up. I got told off by people in the comments. I got told off by my son in my own house. I got told off by you. I was really, really crestfallen on Sunday night because it's not the preparation that you want for the biggest match probably of the last 40 or more years. So I get it. I get the fact that for Villa to throw in one of those, which is at odds with the way that we expect Unai Emery and his team to behave. We expect them to be at it, from every minute of every game. We expect them to take every game they play completely seriously. I was frustrated and just really, really, and I'm probably repeating myself from what I said Sunday night, I'm really wary of letting that infect the way that we as a fan base approach the game on Thursday night. I think that we do need to be super supportive. If that game hadn't have happened, it has happened. If it hadn't happened, we would have approached it with a real kind of fanfare, warfare atmosphere. There's no reason why we shouldn't do that.
No, that we have to do that, I think, yeah.
Because I think this team and this coach nobody likes what happened on Sunday, but they have enough credit in the bank to have got us in this place in the first place, that we owe it to them to make sure that we're with them throughout, really.
Very disappointing to see your team not turn up, even if there's nothing to play for. But there was Champions League qualification to all but confirmed for us. We have no momentum at all going into the... I think this is the biggest game one of the biggest games, in my lifetime. I've seen us obviously play in finals and lose finals, but this feels like the best opportunity to win a competition. But we need to win 2 games and win one of them at least by 1 goal or by extra time or penalties. So we have no momentum, and the only way to change that, I think, is by having this second leg at home. That's one thing, but then having a vibrant Villa Park backing as well. That's really important. We won 7 of our 8 league phase games for this exact reason, and it's why we were pressing it so much at the time when it felt a bit like, does it really matter if Midtjylland can see the 100th minute penalty against Bran? Like, yeah, it does for this reason. So Villa can get that second leg at home throughout all the knockout rounds. They haven't really needed it, to be honest, against Bologna and Lille because they won the away legs, but they lost to Forest, and this is the adversity now that they need to overcome. But as Matt Davies told us in our first preview, Forest's away record is actually better than their home record. So does it matter?
Well, hopefully it doesn't matter and we can rock up and beat them anyway. I'm going to call Matt Davies Matt. I'm going to call Matt Kendrick to avoid. So Matt Davies, Matt, what did you make of the first leg? Obviously won the game, 1-0. Lee Anderson probably should have got a red card in our three's opinion, maybe not in yours. How did you see the first leg?
Well, I don't think it was quite the nailed-on red card that Emery made it out to be. I mean, John will know the answer to this that I don't. I imagine a lot of the questions post-match were about that red card decision and not about how Villa went about it. I thought Villa were fine, but they didn't have a lot of intensity. Like, if you compare, there wasn't a lot between the teams, but I thought Forest played a lot more energy. So I thought if either team deserved to win, it was us. So I thought we played quite well. Yeah, the red card it definitely had an orange hue about it, didn't it? And it could have been a red easily. But I can cite examples in the Premier League where involving Forest, and there was one with Curtis Jones in Liverpool where some are, some aren't. So I think quite a lot was made of it. But yeah, I think we go into it in good shape. I mean, if you'll permit me to comment on the Spurs game without going over it, because I've watched your stuff last 2 days, it was really good. I thought it was an absolute shambles from Villa. I don't know what they were thinking. Like I've said this, I've got no problem with the team he picks. I had more of a problem with the team Pereira picked, actually, because I thought that was a real risk, and it worked brilliantly. But those players, like, they should have been fighting for minutes in this game and in a final and in, being there next season. So I didn't know what... if I was a Villa fan, I'd been absolutely fuming with, like, the lack of effort and the vulnerability to any kind of pressure. And then Emery, and again, Villa fans will tell me shut up talking about their team, but this guy's like Jack in a box on the touchline, and he's just like a statue. And Spurs were gassed after 70 minutes, and then he makes subs after 80, and I was just like, this is a joke. So I was with the league table in mind, I was quite annoyed. But then Forest went out and did the same thing, and our players did exactly what your players should have done, and played for the badge, played for themselves, and gave themselves a shot of getting minutes in this game. And touch wood a final, which we'll talk about, and I think it's definitely on a knife edge, but it really seeded momentum, I think, in a lot of ways. And Emery will turn around and say he's right if you win this tie, but it felt to me like a lot of capital was expended on a gamble from both managers. One made 7 changes. Pereira said, I'll raise you to 8. And it feels like Pereira's been the big winner. And how much impact it has on Thursday, I don't know. But I think it did Forest much more favours than did Villa, I would say.
I mean, just quickly before you come in, Kendrick, in terms of playing for minutes, and this might be a complete moot point, and you'll tell me, Matt, it was Jesus and Wood last week. Tyro scored a brace against Chelsea. He's now in the conversation. He's not in the Europa
League squad, which is a stupid thing at our end.
That's a stupid question on my part, then.
No, but there's players like McAtee, if Gibbs White can't play, which we don't know if he can or not. He's put his hand up. Ryan Yates was fantastic at Chelsea and always, runs through a brick wall. And, Jai Cunha's come in and done ever so well if Murillo can't play, and just things like that. So we're 10 unbeaten, our best unbeaten run in 10 years. And the form table since you beat us at Villa Park, one of the lads on the podcast sent me, it's like we've taken loads more points than you over 15, 20 games. So, yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm not feeling like, we're definitely going to win. I'm not like overly confident or anything. I think it'll be a real good knife edge game, but I think we're in a good spot. I'll say that certainly.
You're definitely boosting my anger levels now by Matt telling me how good Forest have been in recent months. I mean, this is a really silly thing to say, but I'm very, very wary of dabbling with the football fates. I know that sounds a bit like too spiritual or whatever, but we've tried this before, Villa. I think you referenced it post-match on Sunday night, Dan, about, Martin O'Neill kind of dicking about with the UEFA Cup team that started at Moscow, and that coming back to bite us, because not only did we get knocked out of the competition back there, but I think was that the game when we drew with Stoke in the last couple of minutes of the game and Glenn Whelan hit a screamer. Yeah. I think it was, unless I'm getting Villa letdowns mixed up. But I don't think it wasn't necessary. That's the frustrating thing, because I think we still could have conserved energy with certain players, but I think...
Well, like we said, after Tielemans played 90 minutes, probably one of our best midfielders. Rodgers plays 90 minutes every single week, and Matty Cash, our only good right back, he also played 90. So it's not like we were going full, we need to rotate anyway.
Yeah, I think, like I say, if we go and win on Thursday night, Emery will probably say he's vindicated. I think he probably still needs us to win Thursday night, win the competition.
He's going to stick it to John Townley in that post-match press conference.
I'll stick it back.
Calm down, John. We wound you up last time and that got you in trouble. So let's just all take a breath. But yeah, listen, if we win on Thursday night, yes, we'll bow down to Emery again, but probably needs to win at Burnley and then to go and win in Istanbul. I think, and I don't want to turn this into something that it shouldn't be and to overhype it. But there hasn't been many occasions where the cracks in the relationship but that's formed any cracks in the relationship between Emery and the fan base. And you see lots of stuff on social media. But I think on Sunday, it almost like an Emery team being booed off at half time and full time. How did we get to that?
Yeah.
How did we get to that? It was so avoidable. And that's just somehow, and listen, we've all got long memories of football fans, let alone things that have happened in the last 2 or 3 days. But somehow we've all got to park that as a fan base and move on. That's a really difficult ask.
I agree. I think there'll be plenty of people who have said to us, and I've seen it in the comments and in the mailbag, of like, I'm still positive about Thursday, forget Spurs, let's all move on. And those people are already fine, right? They're already ready for Thursday. For the others that are like us or like me, who are still angry, I've got to let it go. So you listening, you also need to let it go, right? Tottenham's done. Let's try and forget about it. I'll be going there Thursday with my dad as early as we can. All the fanfare, everything. It can be as good as Bayern Munich and PSG and other big occasions at Villa Park. But my point was, after the Tottenham game, it's then on to the players. It's how do we start this game? If we come out fast and we score, that momentum from the crowd and the players will carry on, and I think we would then go and maybe win the game. If Forest come out brilliantly because they've got momentum and they've rested players and will be fit and raring to go as well and already have the advantage, what happens if they score first? My position on Sunday was, I'm then on the knife edge of like, go on then, Villa, you've got to go and show me now. I think the answer is probably the other way. If Forest score first, it's probably even more important for us to stick with them and, big chance and stuff.
I think the fans will do as well. I think they will do. Let's say, like, kind of horror scenario, not for you, Matt, but for the three of us. Horror scenario, Forest score in the first 15 minutes. I don't think Villa Park will react with boos and grumbles. I think this is it now. We've got to throw absolutely everything at it. And I think even well, let's let's not go into that territory. But even with what happened at the weekend, I think that fan base has waited so long for an opportunity like this that we don't want to be accused of not doing our bit, basically.
Yeah, I agree with that. Matt, what's the Forest perspective of the atmosphere and the occasion? Obviously, we asked you the reverse last week about the City Ground. There's a big kind of fan initiative to meet the coach and bring scarves and all this kind of stuff with one of the Villa fan groups, the 1897 group, doing their bit for the atmosphere. Are you worried about the kind of Villa Park atmosphere having the impact that we hope it does?
Not well. The most comparable, I don't want to say no. The most comparable example is when we went to Spurs, and obviously Villa are better than Spurs by far, but their fans did the whole, we'll meet the coach, we'll do the flares, we'll wave the scarves thing. And we won that game, and our players played well under pressure. Instinctively, I say no, but it is a huge European semi-final. A lot of the players aren't going to play in European finals and, World Cups and stuff like that. So I think a big element is how they handle that pressure. I feel like our players are kind of well placed to do it. I think my big position at the start of the tie was I expected Villa to win, but I felt as long as our players gave everything, then I wouldn't be devastated. I'd be gutted we didn't go through, but I wouldn't be like angry at them or anything. And I think that's still my position. And I'm like 100% sure our players will give everything. And if that's not enough and Villa beat us and Villa play really well, then I think I'd say fair play. But the whole fanfare atmosphere thing, unless the first goal's so big, if Villa score first and they're swarming us and it's like that PSG game, then any player's going to struggle in that. But when it's 0-0 and the players come out and Villa fans are giving it plenty, like our fans were at the City Ground with Mull of Kintyre and all that, no, that doesn't worry me. But if Villa start like a house on fire, then and go 1-0 up, 2-0 up, then of course, then I would be worried then.
I almost want to use this as an opportunity to say that Forest, like they're the favourites. Villa have to be the underdogs here because this is what Villa thrive off, I think, in the European night. It's like beating PSG at home, not over on aggregate, but then Bayern Munich at home. And it almost feels like when the pressure's on us, on Villa, and it's up to us to do the thing, that's when we don't seize the initiative. But then it works in the other way. So I don't know. Like football's a funny game, innit? Forest coming into this with obviously fantastic form. Matt says 10 unbeaten, and obviously some fantastic results.
Defeat,
and they're scoring lots of goals as well. By the way, like they're not just nicking games like we were in the 11-match winning run, sort of winning by 1 goal or maybe 2 in another. But Forest are really putting teams to the sword, and it is almost, for me, we know we're absolutely in a game here. There's no like ifs or buts about it. How we lost against Spurs, and as we've already mentioned, Emery not moving, not making subs at half time, it was almost like that was just by design of, and I don't know what the reason was. Was it something as abstract as relegate West Ham to sign Jared Bowen? Like, it was almost like that it would be the answer. I don't know what it was. But for the Forest game, this is black and white. I isolate it completely to the other matches, but how the players feel when they step onto the pitch, I think we'll know almost right away what this match is going to be like. Should Forest start well and they're attacking the whole end early on, and that's going to feel like a problem for the rest of the game, because it has to be a fast start for Villa. Of course, if Forest score first, that doesn't mean that the game's done. And as Matt says, I think there'll actually be a good reaction to that.
It doesn't really change much, unless I'm making a stupid point here, that Villa going into the game need to score 2 goals to win. If Forest score first, we need to still score 2 goals to take it to extra time. Like, the task doesn't change massively.
Yeah, but I think it's more just the energy of the stadium. Also, we talk about Villa on in growth, but Forest, like, they're going to relish this. They are so close, really, to Champions League football. Like, I don't, Matt, say if I'm wrong, but winning a trophy would obviously be huge. But for a lot of those players, the thought of, oh my God, I could actually be playing the Champions League, and especially after what happened last season, where you came quite close in the end, dropped away. But this is a huge opportunity now for Ryan Yates to play in the Champions League, for Gibbs White as well. Obviously signed a new deal with you last season, and I don't know exactly what happened there, but I don't know if he expected the Champions League the following campaign. But that's huge for a player's career, and I'm not saying that they'll want it more than Villa, because that can't be the case. But it's hard for me to say that Villa players will want it more than Forest players. Do you know what I mean? It almost should be. I can't imagine that a Forest player won't die out on the pitch to get through.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think you're a hard sell as an underdog. I know what you're saying, by the way. Just to go back to that.
It can't be.
But you're the home team. You're the team that's 5th in the Premier League. You're the bookies' favourites. Can you play the back to the wall thing? I don't know.
No, I don't think they can. But at least having that feeling of, we know we're in this and we have something to overcome, that's always helped Villa. Whereas the other way around, and it's full pressure, that hasn't. But there's no getting around it, as you say, Matt. Villa are favourites. If Villa fall out, it's going to be, like meltdown. If Forest fall out, there won't be a meltdown, which I think shows you where the two sets of fan bases are with it.
Yeah, maybe the weight of expectation helps as well. I don't know. We when we start back on the Europa League journey, like, we thought quarterfinals good, semi-finals great. Anything beyond that, unbelievable. And I get the feeling the Villa view might be slightly different from what you guys have said. Like, this is a trophy that we want to win to crown off everything. Because I know fans are a bit down on Emery at the moment, but all the incredible work that he's done from the low ebb he took you guys over after, was that Fulham game with Gerrard or something like what? You've made great progress for a long time. This could be the culmination of it. And our evolution feels like it's a bit of a different place. It's just been a mad roller coaster for 4 years for us. It could go anywhere. But yeah, I think there's so much psychology that plays into it, and it's a lot of it's in the player's head, I think. And also one other factor, I think the ref will be a bit of a factor as well. Like, I know we talked about that yellow card, red card thing.
Do you know who he is?
No, I don't know. But if he referees the same way as the guy at the City ground, who did let a lot go, and I think that helped Forest, because they were like hustling, and Dominguez was all over anyone if Dominguez plays. And if Dominguez goes out and wins all those duels without being penalised, that's the kind of thing that gives you momentum in a game as well. There's so many small things that go into it.
Yeah, if Villa bang up for it and it's very bitty and the ref keeps stopping it, it halts any kind of chance of momentum, doesn't it?
I've got the ref here. No one's going to know who Glenn Nyberg is.
But good ref.
It's a Swedish band of refs. The VAR is Willy Delajod, or I don't know, he's French. But it's not Joao.
But it's not Anthony Taylor, so I think
It's not Taylor. No, I don't know. I don't know what to base these yellow card stats off, to be honest. But you can find out yourself if you want, viewers. Glenn Nyberg is the ref.
Let's go and wine and dine him at IKEA at the Junction 9 and get him some meatballs and some. I mean, the intensity thing is a really interesting thing because I felt that Forest just didn't give Villa any space to play at all last Thursday at the City Ground, and I can't really remember Villa having many kind of passing phases of possession basically, and that was because everywhere they turned they got a kind of shadow dressed in red. Problem now is that we're even more static on Sunday. We've now got to go from walking football to flat out European semi-final football. Another big factor, and I'm not trying to kind of add to our anxiety, is this Villa bottle big games reputation, which we can talk Palace last year, can't we? We can talk Olympiacos in the Conference League semi-final, Man United at Old Trafford to clinch a Champions League place last season. And I think we're probably, this is me probably making up stats, but I think we're going into those games with better form and more confidence than we are now, and probably with a fan base that was more expectant than fearful like it is now. And I know you can't, because all of these things, all of these external factors play into the way that both teams set up. Even the mind games between Townley and Davies here about, are we underdogs, are we not underdogs? But fundamentally, we have got to go and beat, preferably by 2 clear goals to make it easier, a team that over the course of this season, our form has showed we are better than. That's not me being dismissive towards Forest, Matt, but that's the fact of the matter. We've got to beat a team that probably we'd back player for player better than most of them. Well, I don't think we need to do a combined 11. We'd probably back our coach to be better than his opposite number. That's all very well and good. We've actually got to go and prove it. And again, this is probably a cliche, but if you'd have said at the start of the season, we've got to beat Nottingham Forest again. Full respect to Forest, we've got to beat Nottingham Forest to get into our first European final for 40-odd years. You'd have probably taken your chances on doing that. And I think we've got to try and remember that. I still think our best game beats Forest's best game. If we're right on it and we bring our A game, I think we can win the tie. But maybe that's just weird. Don't clip this for Forest Focus on Friday morning, man. Maybe it's just wishful thinking, but that's what I've got to believe. I've got to convince myself to believe anyway.
We talk about those big game moments a lot. The three you mentioned there. There will be some positive ones throughout the years. Maybe Kendrick could talk about Tranmere at some point. Matt, you jumped into our live podcast last Thursday or Friday, I can't remember when it was, and we were talking about kind of bad Forest omens, that if we were 1-0 up, we wouldn't be saying the tie was over. And I'm sure the elements of the Forest fan base won't be saying the same, because you will have your own experiences of a Crystal Palace at Wembley, etc. For our side of things, can you give us some misery, please, for times that you've messed it up, just so we can rub our hands together and hope that that's going to happen again?
Yeah, you have the floor.
I can give you about 23 years of misery, I think. We were awful in playoff games, which this is akin to, I guess. So, Yeovil's the classic example. When we were in League One, we won the first leg 2-0 against a team who I think are in Conference South now, and we lost at home 5-2. And
take that Thursday, won't we?
yeah,
That's in green and white on Thursday now, just to make that happen.
But we beat Sheffield United in 2003. We drew 1-1. We played really well. We had a great young team, and we went, and Des Walker, absolute legends, the only old player in that team, scored an own goal, and that awful Warnock team got promoted. We won at Blackpool in a playoff semi-final, and then DJ Campbell scored a hat-trick at home
at our
place, and we lost. So it was really only until 2022-23 when we won that playoff semi-final against Sheffield United that our kind of hoodoo was broken. So we've lost to Chester City when in the FA Cup when we were in League One. I think we lost to Weymouth in a minor cup competition, like when they think those teams played in the Johnson Page Trophy when we were in League One. So, yeah, we've had so many dark days. I think fans are conscious of that a little bit as well in this game, that we were right in the doldrums. Like, you look back to, and Villa have got their shared history of really tough times as well, but our owner Nigel Doughty, he died suddenly in 2011. He was replaced by Fawaz Al-Hazawi, who was an absolute disaster. He wanted to buy training ground footballs from Asda, the beach ball ones that fly all over the place. Former managers turned up at training and there'd be these random trialists from Kuwait there who he wanted them to sign. He would go into restaurants. He would go into restaurants and just hand out 4-year contracts to players who were on the fringes of the squad on massive money. So it all fell apart, and it was right on the brink till Marinakis came in. And obviously Marinakis, we discussed on the previous podcast, is a unique figure.
I saw him walking out of Chelsea the other day.
Yeah, absolutely loving it, wasn't he? But we've gone from the bottom of the championship, literally the bottom of the championship when Steve Cooper came in, to a League Cup semi-final, an FA Cup semi-final, a Europa League semi-final in 4 years. So this is like dreamland for us.
Never a final.
So I've turned a big negative into a positive there. Sorry to piss on your chip.
No. I'm hearing bottled a lot of second legs and never made it to the final. So that bodes well.
I'm hearing make sure we leave loads of beach balls and flyaways in the away dressing room. So they warm up with those, and when they kick the ball, they break their toes.
We did. I mean, that FA Cup semi-final last season against Man City, we treated it too much like a day out and a bit of a jolly, and we went there and we lost 2-0, and we tried, but we were outclassed. And I hope that's in the players' minds this time, of we've got to see ourselves as Villa's equals. I did do a combined 11 in my head while Matt was talking there, and I don't think it's the open and shut case that he makes it out to be. If you lined up our players man for man, I think it'd be more of a mix than he says.
Should we do that at the end?
We can do if you want. So, yeah, on our best day, I think it's actually a good matchup, and Villa have been better than us over the course of a season. But we have had 4 managers, and we almost royally effed up the whole affair. But we finally got back on track. And Pereira's done a great job. So how good we actually are, I don't know. Obviously, we're not as good as 10 games, 5 wins in a row and 10 unbeaten, and that doesn't last forever. It's somewhere in the middle ground. But in a one-off shootout, then anything can happen.
Was there something with Bournemouth as well? Is that why you're in the Championship?
Oh, we always lose to Bournemouth.
Swansea, wasn't it?
Swansea. Yeah. Swansea.
Bit more misery, please.
They had a player sent off after 90 seconds and we couldn't beat him. Neil Taylor got sent off, a former Villa player.
That sounds familiar. We're terrible against 10 as well.
Yeah, so there's so many.
Kendrick, can you do the other side now? Can you give us some Villa positivity of comebacks of years gone by?
This will be short.
Just trying to think.
Tranmere is the obvious one, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
Not Bradford.
Yeah, not Bradford. Although Villa losing to Bradford saved my marriage, because I was due to be in New Zealand for my sister-in-law's wedding. So, although I wasn't celebrating the fact that we weren't through to the final, it was a blessed relief on the domestic front. Yeah, Tranmere would be the one, I suppose. That's a long time ago. Yeah. Funnily enough, it's you have to hark back to the last time we won it. When's the last time you won a trophy, Matt? 90? Was that been 90?
Early 90s, yeah. League Cups and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a long kind of period without silverware. But yeah, the Tranmere one, I can't really think. I mean, I'm sure there'll be lots of examples, but it's not. What was it called? The remontada, was it? It was called with Emery. Again, it sounds really horrible, but we're 1-0 down to Forest. We're not 4-0 down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know you're clutching for positives, but let's go and win a football match too.
People have been asking us for positives, so I think you've done that. John, talk to me about the experience between the two sides. Obviously, the coach is vastly different. Emery's experience in this competition specifically speaks for itself.
Yeah.
But our players have been in this situation at Villa as well, not just elsewhere in their careers. I don't know how much you know about the Forest side, and maybe, Matt, you can fill us in on that, but surely does that difference in experience count for anything or not?
I think Milenkovic has probably lost a couple of Conference League finals, which is...
Yeah, I think he lost 2 in a row with Fiorentina.
Yeah. But he got there, so it's not something we've done. Yeah, I think experience is important. I do think a lot of this is going to be up to the players. I think Emery can put in a game plan and be animated as ever on the touchline, but this is now up to the players. And yeah, we do have an experienced group. Pau Torres obviously won the Europa League under Emery. But I do think, and I said this probably a couple of years ago, there's a lot to be said for doing it with the club that you're at. You know, Tielemans won the FA Cup with Leicester. Does that help Villa win 2-0 against Forest? Like maybe a little bit, but that's one player of 11 or 14 who, you know, a few more come off the bench. So yeah, I think it helps, but I'm not looking at that and thinking we'll be fine because some of our players have played in more European nights than Forest. So I'm not sure. I think this is going to be a really difficult game for Villa. I mean, it goes without saying now, and I think we have to view Forest as much as a team that we are kind of neck and neck with, I suppose, in terms of quality. Like, is there much between Morgan Rogers and Gibbs White? I think Forest fans will say, yeah, there is, and it's in Gibbs White's favour. Villa fans may argue differently when Rogers is in form, but he hasn't been for a little bit of time. Not to pick on him, by the way. There's other players as well in our team too. But yeah, I don't know. Experience will help. But the fact that Forest are 1-0 up, how many times can we say that we've been in this position as a group of players? The only thing I would say is that the players are acutely aware that this is maybe their final chance to do something as a full group. What will happen with, let's go like Mings, Martinez, Watkins, Cash? I don't know what the future holds for any of those players. I'm sure they'd all like to stay, but maybe it's not up to them. In fact, some of them won't want to stay either. Martinez, I'm sure, will want to move on to pastures new as well, and let's see what other players do. But the point being that those guys need to lift the trophy now with Villa. We have an ageing squad, which can help you in some circumstances, but then others hold you back. If you're looking long term, it holds you back. We need to make changes. So now is the last opportunity, I think, for a lot of those players to really do something. And yeah, we'll be in Europe next season again, but how will that look? Will we win the Champions League? I don't think anyone can say for sure. The Europa League was definitely, or is, sorry, still definitely a massive opportunity for us.
Just the only thing I'd say about experience for our players is like, there's sort of a similar argument with what John made about being a group, because I think Elliot Anderson will go to Man City or something like that. So, and we always have a high turnover of players. The bigger thing for Forest is actually who's available to start. Like, will Gibbs White actually play when you can see his skull on photos yesterday? So that, you know, he'll want to play. I don't know if he will. And Olerain has been injured, wasn't on the bench yesterday. Murillo wasn't on the bench, but says he's finished his recovery in Dubai. And Sangare's a doubt. So if we can field our best 11 or close to it, I think that's a bigger factor than experience. But yeah, Gibbs White's the massive one for us. If we see his name on the team sheet, that's a huge boost for us come whatever time it is, 6:45.
Do you think that could be the difference? I mean, we said the fans, Matt, but for the players as well and in the dressing room, if Gibbs White is able to play or just be in the squad, that would surely give a huge lift.
I think so, because the way you replace him, there isn't a like-for-like replacement. Like, James McAtee did really well, actually, at Chelsea, but he's been very in and out. So then you can't really play. Gibbs White hasn't played as a winger, and then the other wingers are mostly injured, to be fair, like Dan O'Doy. So you kind of have to really rejig the whole script and try and maybe play Ryan Yates. It's totally different, but you try and compact the midfield and stop the ball getting in. Like, going back to Sunday, like, if Onana's not playing, that feels like quite a big factor. From what I saw of Douglas Luiz in a Forest shirt, didn't quite look the same player. He didn't get on the pitch against Spurs. Bogard looks like a lad who tries really hard, but he got swarmed by Spurs and looked like he was struggling. So it's more availability versus experience, I think, is a bigger issue, I would say.
So if you play the two up, if you play the two up front of Wood and Jesus, what would the midfield look like without Gibbs White? Would you have Dominguez or Yates? You
would hope you'd have Sangare and Anderson, and then you would have to say, do you go with McAtee or an attack and play in a similar way, or do you perhaps go with a Yates who's very different and play Dominguez in a higher role.
Right.
There's no like for like replacement. Dan Ndoye's been injured and he's the other left winger, and Callum Hudson-Odoi out for the season. So it's really hard to replace what Morgan Gibbs-White does, I'd say.
But you don't expect him to. Sorry, Matt. Go on.
No, I was just going to say, I know you, until you see the team sheet, you're not really having an idea about this, but we're talking vibes. How do you think Forest will camp in and do everything that they can to frustrate Villa and then spring Villa on the break? Or do you think they'll think, let's get this, not go gung-ho about it, but let's get this second goal and kill off this tie and kill off this crowd, if you like? Have you any thoughts about how Forest might approach it?
I think they might try and go for the second goal, because if you watch, obviously I referred to the Spurs game there of how Spurs played, and another weird thing about that game was, like, why didn't Villa just go long a couple of times and try and beat the press? They constantly try and play through it. They play exactly the same way. So if they're just going to do that, then it gives Forest an invite to press, and obviously that comes with a kind of a high risk tariff, like. You break the press, you give it to Tielemans, and they're in on you, and then you're in big trouble. But I think Pereira's instinct is to try and get the second goal. Like when we went to Sunderland and we blitzed them and won the game in the first half. So I think that's more likely what he'll do than he'll sit back. The only game where he's really gone away in Europe and sat back a bit is Porto. And we were rubbish for 15 minutes and could have been 3-0 down. So I think it's more going to be I imagine it'll be more attack than defence, I would say.
I mean, Villa don't play well against that kind of low block setup anyway. When the onus is on us to go and break a team down, what would you be more concerned of, John? Forest sit back or Forest come to us?
So I've got another question for Matt, if that's okay. I can answer that after.
Do what you want.
Would Forest's approach change had Villa beaten Spurs and beaten them well, like put on a bit of a show, and then all of a sudden Forest think, oh, okay, Villa do have momentum? Or is it just because half of our passes were between two centre-backs that you think that essentially, is Emery trying to lure Forest into a false sense of security?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think Pereira will have had a game plan anyway. Yeah. And I think it is instinct. Pereira's instinct, and he's always said, is to try and win the game and not sit on it. So if Emery's playing 5D chess, then that kind of thinking is getting towards 6, 7D interdimensional stuff, I think. So I don't think so, John. I don't know. Yeah.
Sorry, Dan, what was your question?
What's more? I was just checking my phone then for a minute. So, what are you more concerned about Forest coming to do? Low block and frustrate us, or come and try and kill us?
Put it this way: Villa's best chance of scoring goals is in a more open match. So I would probably say that. I would probably say Forest try and get that second goal. I think the only thing I would say to that is that I imagine Forest would get that goal and then camp in, which would be a problem for Villa, because then you've got to overturn 2 goals without conceding another one, obviously.
So I don't think it'll be all out attack. I might have overrated it there.
No, but
I'm just saying it'll be things like... at Sunderland, we targeted one player. Like we set traps, we left spaces to pass it through, and they went after Alderete, basically. And I wonder if they just say, we're going to go after Dina or something. Is going to be a press trigger that everyone's going to go when something like that happens. That we won't go gung ho, but we'll try and create opportunities, and we'll see if we'll give opportunities for Martinez to try and pass it into midfield and try and pick it off or something like that, because he's arrogant enough to do it, I would say. So there's things like that we might try and that might work, but it won't be like all out attack.
It'd be fascinating and this isn't something that even if I ask you and I, he would tell me, but to kind of get in his head and say, well, would you take in the 70th minute being still 1 down and you've got 20 minutes of going for it, or do Villa go for it earlier on and try and get that goal quickly? Because there's risk and reward with everything that we do. So I think it's just somewhere in the middle. Villa will play the game plan that they would play if it was 0-0. I think would probably be the best thing to say. However, what Forest do, that's really interesting.
Do you think there's any chance, John, of playing McGinn deeper alongside Tielemans for this, to try and make sure that we've got a bit more about us? If Anana's not available and Bogard doesn't quite trust Bogard for it, and Louise, I've put Louise third there because I think he probably is third choice given by what we've said. Do you think he'd do that? I know that leaves him a problem wide right then, but is there any prospect to that, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there would be, but as you say that would then mean Buendia would definitely start, I assume, in like a 10 role or something, and then Sancho would have to play, wouldn't he? Because Bailey, I can't imagine, would be starting. I think that speaks a lot about where Villa's issues are at the moment anyway. They don't have enough quality in those sorts of areas, those forward areas. So, yeah, you could definitely put McGinn in there to give us that bit more bite. And I think certainly after the first leg, that will be something that's more in his mind than not, because Elliot Anderson was outstanding and Villa do need to stop him because he's a brilliant player. I think if Villa can try and stop Anderson and hope that Gibbs White, isn't ready to play, or at least play a big part, you've all of a sudden at least tried to go somewhere to nullify Forest's threat. And then you just say up to Morgan Rogers, like, look, this is it. We need you to produce real quality here. And to be fair, Buendia has come up with some moments this season. So, but then I get who comes off the bench. Your options are really limited. Then it's Tammy. Full stop. Anana. Let's see if Anana's ready. They'll be training tomorrow. Well, today, tomorrow. Presser tomorrow. But tomorrow, I mean Wednesday, sorry. But I definitely think that's something that will be in Emery's mind. Because if Anderson has a bit of a free run at it in midfield again and is bullying Bogard and is too physical for Tielemans, that's a major problem for Villa.
Yeah, the thought of that scares me, to be honest. I was going to mention McGinn before you did, Matt, similar to what we said about Gibbs White being in the Forest team and almost the vibes of that, of the boost that gives it. McGinn, is that our equivalent of that, isn't it? If he plays and starts, it's like, okay, thank God he's back. I think he will. Obviously, we'll hear from the presser on Wednesday anyway, and maybe Emery won't even say anything. But I'd be stunned if McGinn didn't start the game. I'd love it if Anana was as well, just kind of out the blue. We hear nothing of him at all, and then he's just in the starting 11. That would be another kind of psychological boost as well. But McGinn is the one. If we're to win this, we need him to be bang up for it. If he's off it or doesn't play, I'd fear for us.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine to play. Look how Villa treated that Spurs game. I imagine that if McGinn stubbed his toe on his bed, he'd probably be out of the team. Like, you got to protect him. Yeah, we'll see though. Emery will talk to the press and we'll see if McGinn's training. And if he's training, he's got to be starting.
What did you make of... I don't want to get you in trouble, I promise. What did you make of Emery's messaging and his presser post-match on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, clearly there's parts of it that just weren't... they didn't add up. The things about, you don't ask me about changes when we win. You're always going to make some changes for matches. I think he said the Sunderland game was a big one. He made 3 changes in that one, but this one was 7. I don't know, if even in the last 2 press conferences, like Matt mentioned earlier, about how he spoke a lot about the Elliot Anderson red card debate. And I'm with Matt on that. I thought, yeah, he's lucky to get away with it, but Villa weren't good enough anyway, and it doesn't really matter. Like, your team didn't play well, and I think he used it almost as a bit of a man management thing. Possibly, he knew that what's the point in going in on his players for not playing particularly well in the European semi-final first leg. I did think we wasted that 90 minutes, to be honest. I know we've got another big 90 ahead, but we're now behind in momentum and form. So I think this is going to be a huge test of Unai's man management skills more than anything else in the next or in the last few days and next few days as well. Because tactically, we know he's often spot on, but the decision he made against Tottenham, and as you say, what he sort of spoke about afterwards, to be honest, it wasn't so much what he spoke about afterwards, it was more just his mannerism on the touchline and what was going on the pitch. That spoke enough for me. But if Villa don't go through from here, half of the damage, you'd say, was probably done in the last few days or even the last few weeks. We lost to Fulham with a poor performance. We lost to Forest, which isn't ideal. And then Spurs, we've essentially thrown away all the momentum that we could have had. And I do think we were actually building it as well. But listen, Unai is probably the most experienced European manager, at least in this competition out there. 17 or 18 years in Europe successively. He knows what he's doing, but equally, I think everyone will point criticism to one place in terms of his recent decisions. There'll be other places to point it as well, but it just feels like this whole thing is pretty unnecessary. The pressure and the negativity when it could have been avoided.
Yeah, if anything can nullify Unai's Europa League prowess, though, it's the basket case of a football club that is Aston Villa, really.
I thought you were going to say Nottingham Forest then.
So you're going to say Forest now.
We probably are on an equal footing in that case.
And I think you underappreciated that a little bit as well.
You know, you've just said there, I didn't think Villa were that bad last Thursday for an away performance. I think they're out-fought and out-battled by Forest, but I think the fact that we weren't at our best, that we've had the red card decision go against us, although I got pelters for that as well, because I didn't think it was a nailed-on red.
And Arnold went off at half-time.
And it was, it was a definite penalty, but it came about in strange circumstances. So for all those things to happen, Australia only lose 1-0, and then to have the second leg home advantage, if you like, I think, it could have been worse. I think I said
for Martinez as well.
Yeah, I think immediately post-match, I think I said after Forest that I feared that when the breakthrough came and they scored that penalty, that had come early enough for them to go and add the second then. So I was actually quite chuffed and relieved to leave the City ground with just a 1-goal deficit. And obviously my anxiety levels have gone up since. Now I know, what both clubs have followed it up with. We can play better. We're overdue. I'm probably forcing myself here, but we can play better. We're overdue a performance. We're overdue a result. Yeah. We're overdue a cup final. We're overdue a trophy. None of those things means that you get any of them. Probably 14 or 15 players, a coach and his staff who can have a massive say in it still. So let's hope it's ours rather than theirs.
Yeah. We won't go through 11s because it's all before the press, and I think we've spoken around the edges of a few key decisions anyway. So we'll end with some predictions. As you're the guest here, Matt, and I feel you may be outnumbered 3-1 anyway. We'll let you go first.
I'll take a
3-1. Well, look, Villa have got some top players, haven't they? Like, McGinn's a great player. That game at the City ground, which you should have won, he was fantastic. And I think Pereira learned a few lessons and really doubled up on him at the City ground. So we're going to have to watch out for him. I think Tielemans is a great player. I think Rodgers has been off the boil for so long, but he's this player who will smash one in from 25 yards and out of nowhere. And Watkins plays very hot and cold. If he has a great night, he also, like that. It wasn't for Villa, but it was for England when he scored against the Netherlands. He's got that in him. So you've got all these quality players. But yesterday was the only time and the first time I've really thought we might win. And this is when it all goes to hell and it falls apart.
Two nice plans coming together.
Exactly. Yeah. But maybe it's because I've been so worried about relegation, partly for work reasons, but mostly, also for fan reasons. Yeah. And the way we're playing, you just think maybe it's meant to be, and kind of like when we got promoted, you just think, is it our year? So it's a dangerous position to be in, to have hope. And this is the first time I've really got some. So
you're going to predict a 3-0 Villa win at the end of all this, aren't you?
After the first leg, I've made it 50-50, but now I kind of feel like kind of 60-40 Forest, which is crazy because you are above us in the league and you are at home. But I just feel like it's going to be our night. Do you need a score or is that enough?
No, that's enough and less of it. Thank you very much. Kendrick, what do you think?
What can my nerves cope with?
What's our post-match show going to be like on Thursday night? Positive or horribly negative?
Well,
I think it'll be later than you expect.
Either going to be two of us on it or one of us on it. So
you doing it on your own, are you?
Imagine. Let's go 3-1 Villa. I'm not sure we'll keep a clean sheet, but
no, I don't either. John,
I think we've got pens. I do, yeah. I'm not saying that for I genuinely do. I think we will obviously have to win the game, but by a goal, and I can see it going all the way.
And we win it.
Are you winning that shootout 1-0? Because you don't score many penalties. You've got a good goalie, but you don't put many away.
Who's going to score it?
Who's score enough? Yeah, exactly. Would we score enough
penalty kick is?
Laugh of the gods on pens, and you can't call it then, can you? I mean, you probably can. You probably Villa wouldn't win, but you have Martinez, and that is your. How was Ortega on pens, Matt? Because this is a good talking point if I must say so. Your goalkeeper, who I forgot the name of, Sells, he obviously saved the pen, didn't he? And has a good record from pens, if I'm not mistaken. So would he come on if it's pens?
Ooh. No, I don't think so. His record's a bit. He's had some high-profile saves, like
commentators were lying on.
Against Brighton in the cup. But I think the one against Parma yesterday was his first in about 8 or something.
Okay, fair enough.
So no, I think I'll just googling Ortega's penalty record because you've won.
You beat Midtjylland on pens, right?
I mean, actually, taking penalties, our record is really, really good. We've won. Yeah. I think we've only ever lost one shootout that we've ever been in, and that was to
Wrexham.
I think Newcastle. Oh yeah, Wrexham. So we've lost 2, but we've generally done pretty well. He's saved 9 and let in 37. So what's that as a percentage?
You're asking the wrong podcast.
Almost 20%. Is that good?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that's terrible. Save 9
Don't
pence.
ask journalists to do maths.
That's great. That's great statage, isn't it? That because I don't know if that's good or not.
You might not need to save any of our
20% of a shootout's pretty good, isn't it? If you save one of them.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
So anyway,
I think it'll go pens.
Nobody wants that.
No. Well, if we win, I'll take it, obviously. But...
Would you take? You wouldn't take pens right now.
No.
Obviously, Forest.
I think actually taking them. I think we've got a better chance as it stands in winning the game over the course of normal time and extra time, winning the tie, than pens.
I'd back us to score 2 goals more than Forest in 120 minutes than I would back us to win a penalty shootout. I think.
I'm not sure. But anyway,
do you want Emi Martinez's penalty record?
Go on,
Matt. He is. Have a guess how many he saved. He's faced a very similar number to Ortega.
From memory, I don't. Apart from the Bournemouth one this season, I don't imagine he's saved that many aside from shootouts.
Is this just Villa?
This is career by the look of it.
Is it penalty shootouts or just in game?
It's penalties faced, and I'm not sure about shootouts.
Yeah, I think it's one of those trick questions where it's actually not that much better than Ortega. 12.
It's actually saved 9 as well, and he's laying 34, so they're basically identical.
It just feels like he comes alive in those big moments of
he does love the big moment.
Lille, Argentina World Cup, Colombia. That's his dojo. So
why don't we just let both goalkeepers have a thumb war and be done with it? Certainly that way.
It all comes down to which goalie's got the bigger hands. Is that it?
Would you take the thumb war?
Right. Okay. I'm going to say Villa win as well. Villa win in normal time, or in extra time if needs be, but before penalties. So whatever score that needs to be, 2-0, 3-1, 4-2, whatever it needs to be, I think Villa will get the job done somehow. We've done 2 polls on YouTube before the first leg and after the first leg. The first leg had it as being 85% Villa make it to the final. The second leg had it down to 75% Villa make it to the final. Before we started, I switched platforms. I went to Twitter and asked the same question, who makes it to the final? And 54% said Villa. So that percentage is dropping by the day, everybody. 46% obviously have gone for Forest. Not massive amounts of optimism, but if you go into Villa Park, leave nothing in the stands, right? Sing as loud as you can, cheer everything. Don't boo unless it's absolutely necessary because we're 5-0 down or something. Stick behind them, do everything you can.
That's the message.
Don't even boo 5-0. We've had a 5-all draw there before. We might come back.
True, yeah, that's true. Lose 6-5 on aggregate. Just do everything you can. Like you said earlier, mate, we don't want to be accused of, we didn't really play our part. You know, it's over to the players now, isn't it? So we're all in this together till the end, whatever happens. That'll do for this one. I thought when we did the first leg, if we do another kind of preview, we'll only do like 20 minutes because it's whatever. We've done almost an hour, but some good chat in there, I think.
Can we not do another 20 minutes of bad Forest omens? Have you got any more for us, Matt?
I'm sure I have, don't worry. I'm sure I have.
Hopefully
last year we were supposed to, I'll do one more for you. Last year Opta had us at 95% to make the Champions League with 8 games to go, and we didn't because we fell apart, so it does happen.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't happen to Villa. Right, that'll do for this one. Matt Davies, thank you very much. I don't think you'll be on the channel again because if you win, not interested. If we win, you won't be interested. So thanks for appearing over these last couple. Thanks to Mat Kendrick, John Townley as well. And get involved in the comments on whatever platform you're listening to with your predictions as well. Huge game for both sides. We'll see you Thursday night for our post-match show on Claret and Blue. See you later.